Hello, welcome back to Black Forest Sunday School, where we're going to investigate what happens during Holy Week. Now, last week, 6 days ago, I told you that Jesus was at Bethany having dinner with friends, and that in 6 days he would go to Jerusalem for the Passover feast. Well, it's 6 days later now, and Jesus has gone and gotten to Jerusalem to celebrate his Last Supper during the Passover. And Jesus was going to share his Last Supper with all of his disciples. Do you remember all the disciples' names? Peter and Andrew and all of them? Well, we're going to put them up. And Peter, can you hang on to them right there? And can you help me call them out so that we can see each of them? First off, there's Peter, and then there's Andrew, his brother, and then there's James and John, and after that there's Philip and his best friend Bartholomew, and then Simon and Thomas. That's Simon and Thomas. And then comes Matthew, James, and Jude. Matthew, James, Jude, also known later as Judas, not the Iscariot, because this is Judas Iscariot. Now, so that's Judas Iscariot, and they're going to share they're going to share the Passover feast with Jesus. Now, Jesus already knows that one of his disciples has fallen from him, Judas Iscariot. And he tells everyone at the supper that my betrayer sits with me at this table. Now, he also told Peter, he said, Peter, you are going to deny me 3 times before the cock crows. And it happened. And when it happened, Peter cried. Now, he also told his disciples at that time that they should get or bag a sword. And the disciples told Jesus that we already have 2 swords. And then after dinner, the disciples followed Jesus off to Mount Olive. And no one saw Judas wander off as they went to the Garden of Gethsemane. Now, they went to the Garden of Gethsemane, and Jesus went there to pray. Put the garden there. Now, Judas had wandered off and came back later with an armed mob. That armed mob had swords, and not only did they have swords, they had long fighting staves meant for beating people up. Really long staves for fighting. And they surrounded Jesus, and they were going to take him prisoner. And then one of the disciples grabbed one of those swords, and he and he chopped one of the ears off of one of the mob members. But Jesus healed it, made it all good, and told his disciples to go. Well, the mob took Jesus to the chief priest. He then took Jesus to Pontius Pilate. Then they took Jesus to King Herod. Then back to Pontius Pilate. And each of those people questioned Jesus thoroughly, trying to figure out what had he done that everybody wanted to crucify him. Why was this mob so mad? And Jesus said nothing. He didn't say anything in his defense because Jesus already knew what was in the cards for him. He knew that even 6 days earlier at Bethany. He knew that the mob would have their way and that they would take Jesus and crucify him. So Jesus knew what was going to happen and went bravely anyway. And as Jesus died, that sacred veil that's inside the Jewish temple that stands between God and man, well, that veil in the temple it's in the temple. We'll put it in the temple. Well, that veil was suddenly ripped asunder, ripped down the middle, so no longer was there anything standing between God and man. And not only that, but when Jesus died, well, the sun went dark, really dark. It went dark for 3 hours. The sun went off. And after 3 hours, it came back. And to remind you that when Jesus died, even the sun went out. Well, we have a gift for you. Some special dark chocolate. Thank you very much, and we'll be seeing you next Sunday. Thank you much, and we'll see you later. Bye-bye.